Oh, I'm live. Okay, great. All right. Beautiful. All right. No, well, she's managing everything. So we're live here from the House of Sub-Zero Wolf, Singapore, with our esteemed guests and colleagues to talk about the Sugar Refinery, which is one of our signature desserts at Room4Dessert, and one of the highlights of our Academy season, which is coming up starting in September. The first month is sold out, and the next window is available in October, where we'll be doing some of the recipes that you're going to see today. And we're just going to walk you through a few of the fun things that we do while sharing the legendary hospitality from Karen and the Sub-Zero Wolf family. So that's a very strategic place to hide because you're off all of the cameras. Yeah, the cameras are all pointing this way. So I hope that we don't bore you today. We have some snacks and some champagne. We're going to walk you through kind of like the first half of what we do in the Academy, which is one of our signature desserts. And in this case, it's a dessert that's all built around palm sugar. So we wanted to come up with a kind of new way to share the flavors of Bali. For us, the most iconic flavor is always coming from the coconut nectar. So this is from the north of Bali. It's about 2 hours from the restaurant. If you get it immediately in the morning and flash freeze it, you can actually transport it. So we're able to process it, freeze it before we brought it to Singapore. So we're able to bring it down to make our sauce now. It's a super special product. You will see it if you ever see people climbing the trees. I'm sure in Singapore it's quite common now, right, for everyone to be climbing coconut trees. Maybe in Malaysia it's a bit more common in the mountains. So the collection is of the coconut nectar. The nectar is then lightly fermented, and that's how we get sugar. So it's cooked all the way down. It takes a huge, huge amount because you just get a tablespoon of sugar per liter of nectar. And it's a really amazing product. This one is done for us by a friend of ours who also makes arak. He's a liquor maker in the north of Bali named Jero Yudi. So he makes syrup, sugar, and all these different products for us. And the nectar is coming from the trees from his plantation, which is right on the water in Bali. So if you have a chance to come to Bali, we'd love to show you around. And definitely getting up to Les near Tejakula is one of the highlights of the trip. So the dessert features liquors that we make from our base products. So we make bitters from mangosteen peel, because we had all these mangosteen peels when we were processing mangosteen, because again, it's like you only get a few tablespoons of fruit out of about a kg because of all the skin. But actually the inside of the skin is extraordinarily good for immune response. So if you take off the purple skin, the red on the inside, it's actually sold here as a vitamin. Just a process. It's quite bitter, it's quite tannic, it's not delicious. It dries your mouth, but it's really great as a flavor and as a bittering agent. So we use it to make a bitters, and that bitters we started 10 years ago actually. So Room4Dessert is in its 10th year. We turn 9 in June, so we'll be 10 next year. Hope that we'll see you for our party. And again, you'll sort of see all of these products from around the restaurant coming up through the dessert. And then the last thing we will do is plate the dessert and, of course, serve you. So hope we can keep it interesting for you as we cycle through the recipes. This has become a real signature dessert for us, featuring not just palm sugar, but also cacao, which is produced from a single estate called Sapsaman. It's about 1 hour from the restaurant. It's produced by Primo Chocolate, who is a company we've worked with since they started to get the chocolate just the way that we want it. We also use blinjo, which is, I think you have it quite commonly here, right? Yeah, and pink, like the street crackers that we use to grind up in place of almond flour. So like a lot of the things in Bali, we couldn't quite find what we wanted or what we were used to cooking with, so like almonds. And we found this amazingly bitter flavor from the emping, from the kind of, I call it a big acorn, but I don't, it's not exactly right, big seed. So we use this in place of almond flour for our doughs. So all of the recipes today are quite individually quite simple and easy to make at home. The dessert itself maybe takes a few more steps, depends how much time you have. But normally with our book, we do the same format, which is the desserts are done more in the restaurant setting, but the individual pieces can be done at home. So like we're gonna start with a nice sorbet, which is, we make it from soursop. I'm assuming everyone, this is quite common here, correct? Everybody's familiar? Great, perfect. So again, this grows, well, we have trees actually in our garden. We use the leaves to make teas as well. There's a lot of great traditional remedies. Oh, there it is. I think they have, yeah. But you can smell, one of the things that we love about it is it's always kind of half rotten by the time it falls, starting to decay, like me. Yeah.
No.
But still preserved, just barely. Yeah, that's right. It's okay. We are still getting younger. We made a deal. That's right. Made a deal with the devil. Getting more irresponsible. But the reason we wanted to show the sorbet is this is my sorbet syrup, but it's just hot water for it, right? So we wanted to show you how easy it is to make a fruit sorbet. Does everyone here make ice cream at home? Yes? No? No? Order in? Grab? Grab? Dopa? Anywhere? Who else makes at home? Just one? No, two. Let's see. Okay. Well, this is not a Sub-Zero and Wolf machine, but it is a Cuisinart machine. It's a cousin of. It's okay. Cuisinart is part of the family, right? Yeah. Soon. So we wanted to show how easy it is to make a sorbet, which is really just fruit with water and sugar. So Devi has already arranged all the ingredients to make it really easy for me. One of the things that we do in the restaurant is we don't use any white sugar. Any refined sugar. This is a cane sugar, which is unrefined. It's the closest that we'll get. And as a result, we don't get these spikes in glycemic index, which is super nice. And I don't want to say healthy because that's not really accurate, but let's say, we like to say healthy-ish. So to make a sorbet is really, really simple. And it really means just to make a syrup. So it's just to boil a little bit of water and sugar. I'm going to take, let's see if I can use this one. And I don't really need to whisk it. I just need to boil the water and sugar without touching it. And that's as soon as it comes to a boil. I have a small stabilizer here that we make. You don't need to use this at home, but you can use also any type of thickening agent that you would find here, like a carrageenan or something that you'd find seaweed based. So all natural. These are produced in Bali as well. So we blend this ourselves. But if you don't want to use it at home, you don't really need it. You can just own it. The reason we use it in the restaurant is because we serve it over 6 or 8 hours. So we serve like up to 100 people a day, and we want it always to be just right. If at home you're just going to make it and eat it, you don't need it at all. So again, just to bring really like a fine point on it, the simplest way to think of sorbet is just fruit and a little bit of syrup. So we use the water so that we don't have to cook the fruit puree, and we have this nice natural taste of the soursop. We also, there's no, I'm looking up for the reflective mirror so I can show that. How can I can't tilt it right? Sorry, that's not gonna really work. Here, let me see if I can bring it so that I can see. Sorry, it's just about to dissolve. There's just a little bit. Sorry. Give it 1 second. Sorry. It's a bit dense because there is twice the amount of sugar to water. But you don't want to stir it, or it will crystallize. Let's see if that will last. You can be here. It's not that.
I don't want to be seen by your academy.
Oh no, are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Camera shy?
Camera shy, yeah. It's okay. The authorities are downstairs. Yeah. Perfect. So I'm just gonna whisk in the stabilizer, but again, you can omit this step at home. And you'll see a little bit of foam right here. Technically, you don't need to boil it. You just need to get it to around 80 or 90 degrees. You'll see there are a few little lumps here. We're just going to blend that out with a blender, but we're not going to blend it in front of you because we're going to keep it nice and cool and quiet. But I just want to show you quickly so you can see the impact that the stabilizer has. You can see the texture. It's okay. You can see the texture is quite, yeah. So if you make like a traditional sweets at home, you get a result like that with a tapioca starch or with a, I don't know, what is it, Nutrigel? What do you use for like supermarket? Not quite agar-agar, but another kind of thickener. Pectin to make a jam. Xanthan? Yeah, xanthan. So you can see this kind of elasticity here. And what that's going to do is protect our sorbet as it freezes so that it's nice and smooth and creamy. Sorry. Yeah, I'll be perfect on your camera, and then Aurel will tell me to get back in a second. You can always motion. image removed, I need to work on it. I need to practice I'm watching too much Cedric Rollet Instagram. I need to get more movements. I'm going to pass this to Dewi to tuck in the back, right? And again, I just want to show you the texture here when that product is cool. And it's like, here, let's see. You can see the texture here. Sorry, sis. So do you have it blended for me that I can chip?
The blend already churned.
Already churned. Do you have one to churn or no?
I have.
Which one? Already churned? Oh, bloom to churn. But you have already processed, right?
Yeah.
How many? One or two?
We have two.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So, perfect. If you have one, we can show in general in the bowl, not in the bag. No problem. But this is perfect. So we're gonna blend. We're gonna hand blend. Sure. Possible, right? Great. Do you have a picture for me? Empty one? To blend? Not exactly. How would you like me to blend? In the bowl? Why not? Let's see. Do you have a bigger bowl? Perfect. What's that? Wow, she's the brains of the operation and the face. We're just gonna take a little bit of this here, so we can blend it off to the side. But again, this is just a puree of soursop. That's right. Yeah, you can go straight in the blender with it. It's really easy. Am I plugged in, sis? I wonder how long this will reach, but not quite, right? Or else if you need to turn me off camera, you can. I'm going to show you how easy this is to mix together. And now you have a slightly thicker version of the soursop. One moment. I always take a little bit of the juice to blend the thicker item at the beginning, and then I add the rest. Exactly. I put a little bit of lime juice so that it's not too sweet, because the syrup can be a bit sweet. And then we're gonna mix. Please. And the next step is just to strain it and process in our Cuisinart ice cream machine. I can show you the texture here so you can see it, but it's quite nice. It's kind of like a beautiful and slightly elastic fruit here. And do you want to show the sorbet? Are we going to show them, give them a little taste? So if you don't mind, we're going to show you the texture of each part, but then we're also going to show you the finished dessert. Do you have already so they can taste them? Available? Do you want to prepare?
Yes.
Thanks. Or what do you think? Do you want to taste everything now, or do you want to taste everything at the end?
I'd like to taste the
Unfrozen. Sure. I think that sounds great. Do you have any more base?
This is for the.
No, but how can they eat this?
Okay.
We need some. No problem. It's okay. They have all spoons that are untouched, correct? Perfect. Okay. So this is how we do it with the kids in the restaurant. Don't tell anyone. We walk it around, and you just put a little spoon. Yeah, just don't tell anyone.
And this is just done today?
Yeah, this morning.
Thank you.
I literally, like I said, this is usually for when we have little kids coming in the kitchen. That's true. Because they never want to sit with their parents having full dessert, so we bring them into the kitchen to try this out. And they will give you clean spoons after them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Perfect. Here, I'm going to pass one so you can try the base. That's right. We freeze it in this, so it churns while it freezes. You can freeze it in general, but it will not be as creamy if it doesn't churn while it freezes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, if you don't have
half freeze it, churn it, and half freeze it again.
the best way to do that, actually, you can do that. You can freeze it, and you can chop it, and then you can process in the Cuisinart. You can blend it from. So it's like a cheating way to make an ice cream at home. It actually works quite well. Yeah. Do you have a Cuisinart? Oh, sorry. Do you have a Cuisinart? Do you have a food processor at home? Yeah. So then you can also. The other thing, if you want to be sneaky, is you can freeze it in ice cube trays, so that you don't have to cut it when it's frozen. And then you put the ice cubes of the sorbet into the Cuisinart, and by the time it's smooth, it will be perfect sorbet. Well, perfect is a strong word, but it will be good. So it's a really simple way, and it's a really simple recipe. And even to have like at home, if you want a simple one, you can do. Do you guys use cups or grams normally? Grams. So for 250 grams of puree, about 100 grams of syrup, and the syrup is 2:1 sugar and water. But we can send you the exact recipe, and it's also in the back of your book. Is that the correct time or? 10 ahead. So it's 2:40. Perfect. Thanks, boss. How are we looking?
Yeah.
You process?
Yeah.
So, if not, then don't worry. We just go one by one and we cowboy it. We arrange the spoons nicely. We go from there. Is that okay? So the next thing that we're gonna do is kind of a different recipe, a different way to make a meringue. Does anyone make meringues at home? Yes. Yes. So normally, right, just sugar and egg whites. So I love meringues. I'm kind of obsessed with them, but I always find them a little bit sweet. So I know that's a little, because normally meringue is like 2 parts sugar and 1 part egg white. You put like 1 to whip the eggs and then 1 to make it strong. And you can either bake it or it depends on how you're going to use it. So we were trying to find a way. To have a less sweet meringue. So, and we were thinking about how to make it more light. So we I hate to say this, but we spent like a year actually making meringues like over and over and over again. So we made a couple of thousand versions of that. We submitted a paper actually, like a scientific, yeah, it's online. Yeah, it's there. We actually made a real, submitted it for a scientific paper because we wanted to show how we can make a less sweet meringue using water. And that's because what foams for the egg white is really the water, not the egg white. So there was a French chemist actually who suggested adding water to egg whites to make like this infinite meringue. And we tried it actually, but it's not delicious. It tastes kind of like a bad omelet, like a bad egg white omelet. But the idea was really, really good. So we worked with another friend who's a food scientist who was working for M&M Mars, and he wrote a big book about egg whites. And we came up with this way to change the way we make a meringue so that we can have something fluffy and delicious and light that's not too sweet. And actually what we did was we wanted something distinctive for Bali, so we used coconut sugar, palm sugar. And the reason that's so effective is if you make meringues at home, do you ever put something in it to keep it a bit more stable? Cream of tartar, right? It's because it's acidic and it lowers the pH. So that's why the egg it helps to keep the bonds from it actually keeps them from getting too strong, so they're more uniform. And actually the pH of this palm sugar is about 4.2, which is quite low. So the acidity from the palm sugar is enough to cure the egg white to make a really stable meringue. This is quite a small bowl for this size batch. Do you have one size more or not? Here, let's see. One size more or not? No, that's okay. So normally for meringue, if you're gonna do a French meringue, you start whipping the egg whites cold and you add a little bit of sugar. If you want to make an Italian meringue, you make a syrup and you pour it over. That's like if you want to make a marshmallow. And if you want to make a meringue to decorate, like a Swiss style, you warm together in a bain-marie. So we cheat. We blend all the ingredients together. And we warm them in a bain-marie to about 84 degrees. Sorry. And we want to pasteurize the eggs. And then what we're going to do is freeze it, and we're going to whip it from frozen. So another idea, you're asking if you don't have a ice cream machine, because a lot of people, let's be honest, don't have it at home. Do you have a KitchenAid? Perfect. So this method is really nice to make frozen desserts that are super light and very, very stable, and they can be whipped over and over again. So even after this one is frozen and thawed, as long as you freeze it again and whip it, you can make it over and over again. So people find it really versatile, which I like, because we can do it. I'm going to cheat a little bit, sorry. I'm going to just blend with my hand blender quickly my palm sugar and water and egg whites. And the reason I'm going to blend it first is to make sure there's no little strings or anything that's undissolved before I warm it together. So excuse me to go off camera, but I think off camera is different when you guys can just turn your heads, right? analog off camera. So you're gonna probably have one hand. And if you don't have one hand, no stress. We're just gonna go like this. So I'm gonna start with the whisk because it's quite hot. But again, we're gonna just, since we're cooking to 84 degrees, we're really just using the whisk to make sure it cooks evenly. So if you made like a crème anglaise or custard at home, did anyone ever make like lemon curd at home, for example? Custard. So did you make in a pan or in a bain-marie? In a water bath or in a pan? In a pan, right? And what happens? Yeah. You get omelette, right? Yeah. Yeah. So actually, one of the first things that I learned in culinary school was how to fix that. We had a professor who was really good at ruining things, but he was also really good at fixing them, which is kind of like one of the great things in pastry. So because if you're working in a pastry kitchen, you need to prepare. Well, like we not like me because she's doing all the work in general, but so if you're doing a big batch of custard, of course you cannot throw it away, right? If you have a scrambled egg. So what he showed everyone was simply to put it in the blender, use a hand blender, and to emulsify it again. It's perfectly fine. So, but if you want to have a more gentle way to cook a custard, I highly recommend bain-marie, which really just means a water bath. And again, the steam is nice, opens your pores. We're a very holistic wellness, traditional wellness approach. And again, the whisk is not mandatory. You can use a spatula, whatever's easier for you. You can use a wooden spoon even. The whisk is just easier to keep it moved around. And what's interesting is you can see that the egg whites will want to start to foam. But keep in mind, if a normal meringue is 2:1 sugar, this is 1:1:1. So for every 100 grams, there is only 30 grams of sugar. And traditional meringue, for every 100 grams, there is 60 to 70 grams of sugar, 2:1. And in fact, because this gets more light, you eat much less sugar than you would with a normal meringue, and you don't have any white sugar at all. So you have no glycemic index sweetener, which is really nice for you, no spikes, no blood sugar issues. And it may sound funny for a pastry chef, but after 30 years of cooking like this, I wouldn't say, I don't know the correct medical term. I need a doctor. Is there a doctor here? Maybe on this side of the table. We have, but I don't do well with sugar, actually. So we've cut all white sugar from the restaurant. We don't use it at all. Which, and like I said, healthy-ish. We serve, I mean, we are a dessert and cocktail bar. So. But our menu now, have you all been to the restaurant? Of course. Not yet? Not yet? Not yet? What have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
What have you guys been doing the last 10 years? Huh? This is crazy. Working every weekend? Well, if you come to the restaurant in Bali, which we're going to celebrate our 10th anniversary next June, we have a 15-course menu. But the first 5 courses, when you see that, you can lower it 1 or 2. But I just want to show you, you remember how you said you scramble a bit the eggs? You can see here what happens when it gets to be more than 80 degrees. Can you see here? You can see, like, really you're making an egg white omelet. But it's okay, we're going to blend it again and we're going to cook it through. But this is really quite thick. And it seems almost impossible that it will work. But we've done it so many times, we don't really panic about it anymore. So the important thing is to make sure it's cooked to 84 degrees. And then to blend it and strain it and freeze it. And then we're going to whip it. So it takes a bit longer than a normal meringue, but I assure you the result is worth it. Let me just check my temperature. I would say it's close, maybe 75, but it's showing me 85 here, but you can see it's really measuring the bowl. So we're just going to be a little patient, but I think it's pretty close. You see we're hanging around 84, which is where we want to be. So normally we say to everyone, we use a thermometer in the restaurant, but the thermometer only tells you what you should know already, right, from your eyes. Depending on your eyes, obviously. So again, this looks kind of like a disaster, right? Yeah. Looks like has to be wrong. Huh? We don't need the bain-marie anymore, correct? Yeah. Great. So I'm going to just turn this off. I'm going to slide this here. One moment, I'm going to steal that. I just want to show you what happens when we blend it. Because I can see you're all very worried for me. Where is Aurel managing the camera? Sorry. Let's see. Let's see.
Ah, okay.
It's okay. You can, yeah. Yeah, very curdled, right? Sorry, sis. No, it's okay. Is that okay? Or we can show, actually, Devi, you can add the camera too. I just want to show you what happens. Iron range. And you can see you actually have what starts to look like a custard sauce. Now, it doesn't look super beautiful. That's okay. Smells nice. Palm sugar smell is really coming through. On the next run through, maybe we can, if you can ask her to swap out the water here, would be amazing.
Sure.
Thank you. Can I show them how to strain it? Cannot. Can? Yeah. Here, I just want to show you guys, because it's really nice to see that it's not a big deal, especially if you're at home. You can see the texture. You're not going to have any loss here. There's a little bit of foam that will not go through, which is fine, but you can see here. And I'm not pressing through, I'm just stirring it. So this base, one moment, is it already whipped or no? Are you going to give it just a moment? So you had asked before about how you can do this kind of things at home without an ice cream machine. This is actually a great example. Sorry, got that? Oh, perfect. So again, you never have to worry. Well, never is a strong word. You rarely have to worry. And with this recipe, actually, it's very forgiving. And again, we've done this so many times at so many different temperatures. We don't panic anymore, even when we see something that just looks so wrong. But as you can see here below, it's quite harmless. Not maybe delicious or beautiful, but harmless. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to let you clear.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to show you. Do you need to bring up in the whisk slightly? Or no? Oh, you're already there. Great. So what we did was freeze it in a block. I'll just show you the texture. You can actually pass this around. So this is just what we cooked, frozen and cut. So is this ready to do?
Halfway.
Halfway. So you have another one, or do it or no?
No, on this one.
But already with? No, this, she said halfway. Setengah. Okay, okay. Sorry. You clear? Tunggu ya. Cold enough? Yeah, cold enough. So guys, I'm just gonna, all we're doing is paddling it, but I just want to show you while it's, you can see it's just like almost looks like a buttercream. Nothing really going on here. We're just gonna scrape down the side. And this is another great way to make a frozen treat without an ice cream machine. Now, we're always a little wary when we're in a new room at a different temperature. So if it doesn't work, you can blame me. But we do this every day with a variety of recipes. So you can see it there. Can I ask a question? Will this feed onto that? No, right?
No.
Great, perfect. I'm just going to crank up the speed so that it doesn't all the way thaw before the meringue is ready. That makes sense? And I will show you in about one moment. You can see the bowl is nice and full. So I need to make sure this stays below around 4 degrees. Above 4, it will not do as much. It will still work. So again, just to be clear on the steps, I should go back. Sorry. Just to be clear on the steps, we put everything together. We blend it, we strain it, we freeze everything together, and then we whip it. So the same idea, if you were to process that in a food processor, you can achieve like a cheap version of home ice cream. Yes. That is a very, very good question. You want to take a look? You're very close, huh? But if you see that it's not, sorry, that was a very good question. Did everybody hear her question? Is there a minimum amount? Yes. Would you like both? So, yeah, it depends on the size of the machine. And the bowl, it depends on the size. But let's say for this, for example, like 500 mils, like a half liter maybe, you could probably get away with 300 mils. But I mean, that's like just the issue is the smaller the batch, the more change in temperature, so the harder it is to work with. The bigger the batch, the more stable it is. Yeah. So again, it's just how you look at it.
Yeah.
So Dewi does this every night. So the beautiful thing on this meringue is you can do it over and over again. So for example, if we do it and keep it soft, or we keep it in the freezer, and we just cook it again. So it's really versatile. You don't have to worry about anything being ruined. Can you show it? Or would be no, but can you show us thing up? Yeah. Why don't you show? Yeah. Guys, I'm just gonna ask. I want to show you kind of 60%. Can you see the texture? It's kind of magic. You can, yes, Karen, you can stick your finger in it. It's it is the house of Sub-Zero. You can do it. No rules here. So normally 10 minutes is enough time. So if you freeze it to -9 and in your amazing Sub-Zero freezers, which bring things down to -9 in no time at all, I'm sure you'll easily find them free achievable. And in a standard KitchenAid or any other mixer, 10 minutes is the right amount. So it seems like a bit of an extra step, and I do understand that it's like more than you would normally do. But the result for me is really worth it. It's tasty, it's light, it's low in calories. It makes an amazing fluffy dessert that can be served frozen or dry or soft. So it's really versatile. And if you're at home, okay, let's be honest. One item already is not right for dessert. Or a little vanilla ice cream with some rock sugar meringue, it's already makes a really nice product. So that's the kind of thing we suggest for people doing dinner parties at home. You want something beautiful, but it's also one step, right? So it's a long step, but it's one step. How we looking, Chef? A little bit more? Do you want to chef? Or no? Keep it going. So close. So basically, you're whipping out the egg white will melt just as the ice tops. So in the end, you have a perfectly smooth thing that you can spread. Do you have a way for me to spread over here? Oh, sure. Why don't you show me one tray? I can pass it around while we wait for that. Yeah. So I just want to show you what we do with it. So we spread it on this sheet. This is bigger plastic here, plastic. It's really cheap. It's in the like like a homeware, like a paper store. Because if you buy acetate strips, they're usually like plastic from Indonesia, flown to Paris, and then back to Singapore. So you're paying like 2 round trip tickets for your plastic. And these ones are like pennies a sheet, and they're very reusable. So we made this sheet. You can see makes it nice and shiny and dry. And you can cut it or break it, and you can taste it right there. It really melts in your mouth. So we're super happy with this. Again, one extra step, but I think worthwhile. And that's like a lot of the things we do in Room4Dessert, and a lot of the things we teach in the academy are kind of like the basic one, but just a little bit of a twist. So, is it ready? Thank you. So, this is the product before it's dry. You can see this amazing texture. Sorry, if you want to see you have your spoons, right? Don't worry, we're all friends here. Do we have extra small spoons? Maybe we can. If you'd like to take a taste when it's freshly lit. Perfect. Oh, great. It's kind of amazing texture, and it's a great way to make a really light frozen dessert. So actually, this base, do you guys, like a semi-freddo or Italian parfait, you can use this just as it is and freeze it to make frozen dessert. Okay. Yeah, you want this one? Always the magic touch. How much you can get with those. It's just sugar and water and egg. The recipe is done. That's right. You don't bake it because, well, I prefer the texture when it's dried instead of baked. It's very delicate. Very good, but this is a really switched on crowd. So this is so we cheat a little. We use 2 temperatures. We started at 63. 63 is enough to make sure the protein of the egg white sets. Once it sets, then we turn it down to 43 and leave it overnight. You can see it. I mean, it sets. Like if you bake a meringue in the oven, you can see it, right? Same idea. Yeah, this is the mica sheets. Sorry, it's just you can use anything. Yeah, it's super cheap. It's like used for, you remember the old like mimeograph machines? It's like the liner for Mimeo. Silpat you can, but actually it sticks. It's harder to take off. You can use a silpat in the dehydrator for sure. Yeah, it's so cheap. It's super cheap. You can use it over and over again. You just wipe it off. We don't use any single-use plastics. These we wash, so we cut these to every shape we need. And I just show you, just to give you a feel for how easy it is. So you can really just spread it any thickness you want. So you can see with the spatula, you can spread it as if you want a thicker meringue, you can just leave it here. But I want to show you. You can see the texture though, how stable it is. But you can go thin, you can go thick, it doesn't matter. You can also, did you have blowtorch?
Yes.
Yes, because if you want to do it at home, or you have like a really nice, or you want to have this kind of marshmallow feel. So you can see it burns beautifully like a marshmallow. So again, if you see how it's quite stable, it doesn't fall at all. So you can have a great marshmallow topping again, but not that store-bought marshmallow that's so sweet and cornstarch and syrupy. So it's super fresh. You can use here again, Malaysian palm sugar, Indonesian palm sugar, and egg whites, all organic always. Beautiful spring water. Thank you. And you can get a really special product with just a little bit more time and effort from a traditional recipe. So this is like one of the, here, I will let you know. Yeah, so nice, right? One more. Sorry. How would you like to do it? Trick? Perfect.
Without using freeze drying it, you could do it in the oven if you wanted.
You can, and actually, yeah, and this one is just a straight dehydrator. You can do, no problem. Freeze dryer would actually be better if you have, but most people it's a bit expensive for the home. If you have a doctor or a doctor friend who might have a freeze dryer handy, you can use the lab equipment. It makes a great meringue. Not always food grade. So using your incredibly sensitive and perfectly calibrated Wolf ovens, where you can get any temperature you want. That's right. If you have a Wolf oven, you can do it at. Karen, can you help me? Is the lowest setting 60 or 80 or 100?
I just asked.
Normally it's around 80, but every oven is unique. Yes. Yeah. So 80 actually will work. You can do this at 80 and it will be done in an hour.
No, just baking.
Well, if you don't have a dehydrator, because again, a lot of people don't have it.
Yes.
So I will have to do it. Any problem with gel?
No, just the.
Long time again, right?
Okay.
Let's see what it does.
We change
The sequence, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, must be. Otherwise, this one will take another small pan. But no, for now, just continue, and we make two more, and we come back to it. But yeah, that's a great question. And so in the oven, you can use baking paper. You can use a silk pad. But if you do the silk pad, you might brush it with a tiny bit of oil, like old style. Yeah. But it works. The more clean it is, the more nicely it will peel off.
So would you pre-prepare that in big batches and do it in the freezer for when you need it?
Yes, that's exactly what we do. Actually, we have it at all stages. So cooked, whipped, dried, and then whatever we need is ready. Yeah. And if at home, actually, it's quite handy because you can have like, instead of a stock cube, you can have a ready-to-eat meringue. Yeah. So the ice cube tray actually is a really good trick at home. Ice cube tray for pretty much anything will work. In fact, we're going to do a sauce that's like an agar-agar jelly. And if you set it in an ice cube tray, it makes it really easy to blend it. Yeah. Ice cube trays are great at home. And we use the same idea in a restaurant, actually. Yeah, this one has to hold a minute. So we're going to do, since the first month of classes, we focus on, so we basically break down the class for the academy the same way that we do our production. So Dewi has like her production cycle for the restaurant. We do all the ice creams and sorbets and frozen things, and we do all the creams. Then we do all the sauces and fruits and jellies, and then we do all the doughs, and then we do all the garnishes. So we work through the week, and that's the same way we work through our classes. So since we sold out the first week, the next week that we do is with sauces, fruits, and jellies, and also working on the grill. So that's a big part of this class that starts in October is working with fire. So we have, you said it was okay to have a natural fire in here, right? No problem. Of course. Right here, right? Just in this room, nothing. It looks very safe. Yeah, it seems former house of.
Yeah, it gives us a reason to upgrade.
Yes, you know that's the story of how the first roast pig was made. Do you know that story? The first who learned how to make roast pig the first time? Yeah. Someone burned the house down, and the pig was delicious. And it took a few times to realize you didn't need to burn down the house to get the pig. So in this, we actually had Dave from Burnt Ends cooking with us, like one of our first events. we have a tiny grill. You know, we use like 5 kg of wood. You know, he came in and threw like 80 kg of wood on top. It went straight through the ceiling of our restaurant. Guests were arriving straight through the power line, and the whole place was pitch black, on fire. And but we knew that we couldn't spray it, or all the food would be gone. So I mean, this was a long time ago before the renovation. So we just threw some water on it, which is what you're supposed to do for electrical fire, right? It's just throw water on it. And amazingly, we were able to restore the power as everyone around. But I told him, again, that's when we came up with the story of the roast pig. Yeah, we told him he didn't need to burn the restaurant down every time he came for an event. But that's also where we came up with this drink, because we were trying to stay cool while the restaurant was on fire. We had 80 guests waiting, coming in, and all huge pigs being on the grill, and they had no lights. We started to laying out all the candles. Very romantic.
Very romantic.
Very romantic. Very romantic. So you can see here, you remember how we started cooking the nira at the beginning, which is the nectar. I just want to show you what the texture is like now. You can see it's still quite watery, right? So I can turn this off, but either way, it's going to be hard for us to finish it just on time, but I'm going to see 310. So let's see if we can get it in about half an hour more. We'll just crank it up a tiny bit more. Perfect. So we're going to make a little sauce. Do you guys use agar-agar at home? Of course, right? Everybody here. So we use it a lot to make sauces, because we make a jelly and then we blend the jelly. And it makes this what's called a fluid gel, which is a fancy word for sauce, basically. Because actually, like a crème anglaise is the original fluid gel, right? The egg yolk is the gel, and the dairy is the liquid, and together it makes a thick sauce, right? Like a custard sauce. The same principle is true for agar-agar. In this case, we use a flavor. This is a house vermouth. Do you have some that they can taste or smell or no? Yeah. I don't think. If not, I will pass this around. They can get a smell. It's no problem. Here. Will I cook it all or half? All? Okay. You can see who really does all the work, who is being flown in for the last moment. So I'm going to let you watch this while we pass around. First, I'm going to boil the water and sugar. Again, this is quite a big batch, but nice. It's okay. While this is boiling, I'm going to pass the vermouth around. If you want, you can taste it or just pass it around and smell it. So we make this as well. So vermouth is really just a spice and fortified red wine. So we make this with local spices. We make a spice infusion. So you can do that at home with vodka. And all the recipes are in the book, and all the recipes we can share with you as well. So we do 2 things. We make a spice liquor with the vodka is perfect, and we make a caramelized red wine. And we age the spice liquor, and then we mix with the caramelized red wine, and we let it sit. How long this one? How long this vermouth?
1 year.
At least 1 year.
Almost 1 year.
So we make this one. When we started in Bali, it's a lot different than Singapore. We don't have this easy access to alcohol. So there's no great like Carpano Antica vermouths. And so we started to make our own. But of course, the funny thing is that all these spices are coming from Indonesia in the first place. So we think of vermouth as being Italian, right? But all the spices are from Indonesia. So the world is a bit upside down. We're not trying to worry about all of those things with each dessert, but we do like to reorient a bit. So to have a vermouth that's coming from the Spice Islands is kind of nice statement, as opposed to having a vermouth where again the spices were taken and then sold back. So we like this method a lot, and it also allows us to make something delicious and personal. And that's really like the key actually for all the things that we do in the academy or in the restaurant is have a simple, delicious thing that you can make personal, right? Because that's the whole point of cooking in the first place, right? To do something nice for your friends, to share your ideas, or just to share something delicious. That's really why we show up at the restaurant every day. So in this case, you can choose the spices you want. You don't like star anise, or you love nutmeg, or all of these different things. You prefer vanilla, or you like orange zest, or you prefer pomelo. There's not a wrong answer. It's just to make something delicious. It also makes a great gift, great holiday gift. So you can see here we're making a little syrup with the water and sugar, and you'd like to bring the vermouth now, correct? So when you guys make agar-agar at home, it's pretty straightforward, right? You boil everything, and then cannot explain in Asia how to use agar-agar. In Europe, when I saw it for the first time, was in 1999, and it was like this crazy new thing. No one had ever seen it before, and they got it in a block. Did you ever get it in a block? Like a big block? No, not the sheet. Like the set, like a big set, and you would grate it or shave it and melt it again, and then use it as a jelly again. Kind of like that was how they got it. Before sticks we got as well, and then finally powder by then. That's right. Actually, there's locally produced. I don't know about Singapore. I do know about Indonesia. I'm not quite sure about Malaysia, but I imagine anywhere there is seaweed, normally there is refinement. So again, it's a great chance to use a local product. So when we first used it, the idea was to make something that you can make hot, right? Because agar-agar doesn't melt. We did have a French chef who said, well, if it doesn't melt in the pan, then what happens when you eat it? Which I thought was quite interesting, but we never resolved that question, even 25 years later. So this is a classic agar-agar gel, absolutely no variation. The only difference is since we use alcohol, we boil it. And one of the ways we came up with these methods was like trying to have another way to make a thick syrup or a jam. But you know, in pastry, normally those sauces are really, really sweet, right? You know, it's like a marmalade or, sorry, I'm just gonna take this off the fire. It's not really like a, sorry. It's not delicious to eat like spoons of marmalade, you know, or if you want to make a reduction sauce or a poaching syrup, it becomes quite sweet. So in this case, actually, the recipe is about 1-1-1, water and sugar and vermouth. So a lot of the things we do are like that. It's kind of a third or half as sweet as it would be. And so instead of having to, so you can see the texture of this is basically water, right? But once it sets as a nice agar gel, you don't want to show?
Yeah. Sorry.
Once it sets, what we're able to do is dice it, and then we can puree it. And so what it, perfect. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Should I show them? Do I have more to blend, or is that all?
We have.
Ada lagi? Let's see. Do you have for them to taste?
Yes.
Small container? Okay, perfect. So we pass it around? Great.
The last edition was like that.
That's right. Yeah. So the idea was how to make a sauce, less sweet dessert sauce. So we made an infusion. So again, it's like a year, right, for the last 5 minutes. A year for the vermouth, and then the last 5 minutes. And then we have our agar gel. You know, you've seen it there in every flavor, but with a little bit more kick. And then all we do is puree it. So now we have a kind of nice mouthfeel sauce, almost like the richness of a jam and this holiday flavor from the spices, but much, much less sugar. This is really nice if you, even with a toast or anything simple at home, like a brioche or French toast, and you can make this with any flavor at all. You can make it with lime juice. It's really just 1-1-1. So it's a simple agar-agar gel. You can taste a little bit the alcohol, but I don't think too much anymore. And all it is this in the blender. Hand blender is fine. Cuisinart is fine. Standing blender is fine as well. Through the blender and strain. That's it. So again, this is something you can do with a store-bought agar-agar. It's something you can do at home. And it's a great way to make a light sauce. Light and flavorful. Again, that's a big thing for us. Thank you. We change the water. So I just want to show you here because it's coming around. The nira is starting to reduce at a higher rate now. You can see here. You see the difference in the bubble size. So you can always tell the density as it's coming down. So we're like a race against time. 20 minutes to get it to caramel. But you're getting really this richness of coconut nectar. You can see here, it almost starts to have like arak or a tuak flavor, but without the fermentation. It's awesome. How are we looking? We are good, right? 30 minutes again. What's next? Cookie dough? Us? Great. Thanks. That's very big. Yeah, big. Great. What about the kitchen? Only one. This one's really
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can smell. So this is the kind of sauce that we make in. So when we are building a dish, we want to have this, like all the different arc of the product. So we have a coconut nectar. We also have the finished product, which is the coconut sugar. Then we have the spirits that we make from that. So you're able to get all these different flavor coming through. So we will be seasoning this sauce as well. And normally, as we pair it with cocktails, we'll also make a cocktail. But today we're just doing champagne, correct? No whiskey drinks in the afternoon.
We have to try.
Yeah, this is quite a heavy drink. The recipe's in the book as well, and we can share it to you. It's a version of a boulevardier. Okay. Boulevardier is kind of like a Manhattan with Campari. So it's quite a nice, but very, very strong after dinner. Or if you're really powerful, it's an aperitif. I think of it more as a digestive. But so we do the drink boulevardier, but we make a sauce with the same ingredients. So when you have the dish, you have the little bits of it coming through with the drink. So that's another thing that we do a lot in the restaurant, but also in the academy. You can see actually it wants to start to feel like sugar now. See the difference? You can start to smell it. It really wants to be sugar. Okay. Sorry, I went over the line. Do I have something I can mix or no? Look, this one needs to be single.
Yeah.
You know, VBS. One is the best. We're gonna do it this right? With that up.
Yeah.
Correct? Adorable. Oh, great. So the next recipe that we're gonna do is a cookie dough. Very, very easy. The recipe is from sablé, which is like a fancy French way to say cookie, basically. But what we do is we use sorry, it's amazing what happens. You can see it, but you can tell, right? Yeah, you can tell it wants to be sugar. But also look at the consistency now, it's like almost jelly. Yeah. So this one, like, did you ever watch the guys really making it? And they go over wood fire, and you need like a huge pot, and it goes all the way down to basically paste, right? And still paddling before it goes into a coconut shell. Usually they cheat and put like a spoon of coconut oil. They put a little coconut oil in it because it won't burn and it won't stick. And that's why you have the sugar to show. I just want to show them the sugar we are using. Sorry. Do you have the big one? No, the batok. Sorry. Because we're not going to make sugar. We're just going to use the caramel to make sauce. But our sugar is like this. You can actually see where it was put into the coconut shell. And this is like the Band-Aid they use to cover the hole in the bottom of the coconut so that you can poke it out when it sets. Sorry, it's quite handmade still in Bali. Perfect. So the cookie that we're using, because we don't have almonds, we're using this emping flour. So this is actually I can, do you have one there? Hold on. Do you want to start to mix?
Yeah.
What do you want to start with? Do you want to explain? Butter and sugar? Correct? Yeah. So Dewi's going to start to process the butter and sugar, but I just want to show you the flour from this. You can pass it around. Great. Yeah. So we really love the bitterness from that, and it has this great kind of amaretto feel, the same way of an almond or like apricot stone. What is this? That's flour made from the emping. Blinjo. Blinjo. How do you call it here? Blinjo or blinjo? Blinjo. Yeah. Bali's more blinjo or emping. Yeah, this is so this is the seed. You know the fruit is a seed, right? It's like a big acorn, basically. That's exactly what we did. We fried and we grind it. So it's one of those things where we found that we like missed something, and then we were able to make something we liked more. And again, so Dewi right now is just processing the butter and sugar. Then she's going to add the emping, and then alternate with the egg and flour. We use a little bit of tapioca starch in this dough. And basically it makes a cookie, which we bake into sheets for the dessert. You ready for Lali?
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with this. So in Bali, we have it always with soap and food. Well, it's Javanese maybe more than Balinese, but with an upscale scoop. And I'm kind of obsessed with it. So we were eating it all the time, and the flavor is so great for dessert because it's really bitter. And the bitterness helps to cut the perception of the sweetness in the dish. So, Devi, would you like to explain what you're adding? Let me check.
And then we add the umping flour. Already the butter and sugar with umping powder.
Yeah, butter, sugar. Yeah. Butter, sugar, and egg. And then we have egg, we have a little tapioca starch together with the flour, and a little egg white. So traditionally, this would be an egg yolk cookie. The egg white needs to be lighter.
I presume you grind that and that. You fry it?
We fry it and then we grind it. Yeah. This is really just a mashed seed before it's fried, and then it's just plays out like this. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not really nice. Yeah. So, guys, you can smell now, and you can see the color here. Now it's really caramel, right? In fact, probably I will finish my sauce at the same time if that's okay. I just want to show you. I can go a bit more, but you see that what's left now is a few spoons from the original pot was here. But the smell is quite striking. Sorry, it's quite warm. I'm sure you can smell all the way in the door. Yeah, that's good. It's quite amazing what's left. Honestly, the guys in the traditional way is with sticks, so small stick is low and big stick is high. It's not as refined as our amazing wool ranges. So we're so lucky to have this amazing wolf ranges. So well calibrated. We don't even need to use the sticks anymore. You should have that actually. Like traditional one, small stick and big stick. But it's quite interesting to see this product being produced, right, by small artisanal people. It's like exceptionally hard to make this. It's really, really hard to climb the tree. Super dangerous. Our sugar maker retired. He was 77. He's still climbing the tree every day. Village breeze, it's 20 meters, 50 meters. It's really terrifying. No rope, no nothing. And then it takes 3 hours of cooking to make a few of these coconut shells worth of sugar. It's like a really, I think that's another one of the things we really, really focus on in the academy and in the restaurant. Is like, why would we order a truffle from France or Italy when we have like a product that someone spent their whole life learning how to make? Like, this is really valuable because of the time and the effort that it takes to make. So for us, it's about changing a bit what we think of as luxury. Like, this is luxury because of the time and the effort and the tradition. So you smell that? Now you're there. I just want to show you this color. You can go a hair more, but now you're there. You get that toasty smell coming through. For us, this is like the best possible smell. It's like, because we don't cook a lot of meat in the restaurant. So, but we want to have that feeling of being satisfied. So caramel, yeah, it's like meat for us.
Yeah.
So now this makes a great sauce, but it's a bit thick, right? Because if I go a bit further, like let's say another minute, I can go to here. but it will season my pan, and I will have 1 spoon poured into the bottom of the pan. So I'm going to make a sauce very simply using the ingredients from the cocktail that pairs with the dessert. So I have, well, lime leaf, everybody knows, of course, right? Yeah, we grow a lot, actually. So I have rye. Yeah, I have bitters from mangosteen peel, which we can pass around. Is it possible? Yeah. Great. I have a little bit of vermouth, Campari, and lime leaf. So I'm basically just going to deglaze as if I had a cocktail in the pan. So I don't really need a lot of heat because this is so hot and the alcohol is going to cook off so much. But what I would do is do the most liquid at the beginning. So you remember the vermouth that we used for the gel? You can pass the bitters around actually. So before I turn the heat on my incredibly sensitive wolf range.
Okay, sure. We just need it.
But you can smell the alcohol now coming from the vermouth. Kind of like Christmas or whichever holiday that you celebrate at the end of the year. It's kind of like holiday season aroma. Department store, Orchard Road, very intimate setting. But what's nice here is actually you can cook off the alcohol at each step. So you can either flame it or just go, because you can smell the alcohol will come right up. So I do want to have it here. I just want to give a hair of a boil and show you the texture at each time. We don't really want to re-caramelize it because we have enough flavor, but we do want to kind of make a reduction. So this is like 5 little reductions. We start with the nira. You can see the texture now. Look at how the vermouth is foaming up. Then we can do our rye, or whiskey is fine as well if you prefer whiskey. But again, any alcohol, you can just deglaze with rum, it will be delicious. You don't need to have a so complicated process. We just like to make things complicated. But always we try to complicate things to make it, actually the flavor as clean as possible and simple so that it goes together with the drink and you have a great experience. So you can see the foam again when the alcohol is coming right off. We know because we see the fast boil, right? That means because the alcohol will boil lower than water, which is fine. Again, we don't want to cook the alcohol. We just want to take the edge off. A little Campari. Left hand. I need like a. I think this is designed for righties or lefties. I'm not sure. But you can see here, this sauce is really going to be beautiful. And this is another way to make a glaze that's not too sweet. So you'll see the bitters is so dense from the mangosteen peel that actually even just sitting outside, it will dry. So we'll sheet and we'll just take a little bit of the sauce.
How did you make the bitters against the mangosteen?
So it takes a long time, but we have a recipe that we can share with you, but it's mangosteen peel, pomelo, spices, and we let it ferment for a couple of days just to break down a bit. And then we hit it with, so traditional Jerry Thomas bitters are made with rum. So we just cover with rum and we let it go. But the base or the mother for this, it's about 10 years old. But one moment, I'm going to try to steal a bit more of that flavor. You see the bitters is so strong alcohol, instantly comes right off. I'm just going to cheat and take a little bit more. Because you don't want to waste any of it. But you can see that amazing color and flavor. And then this sauce You can leave it with lime leaf. You can chop it. You can leave it whole. We like it whole, actually. You can infuse this as long as you want. You smell the lime leaf now? So fresh, right? And again, we're always trying to get that freshness and brightness in the dessert. I think that's one of the things that we really focus on in the restaurant, because you're going to be eating a lot of dessert. You're spending the day eating dessert with us. We want this brightness coming through, and just that little aroma. Yeah. So again, those are good sounds, right? That's what you want. That's what you want coming out of the kitchen. So for me, you can stop it now, because if you go more, you're losing the brightness from the lime. Yeah. But again, it's quite simple. And you can use those leaves again. They're not spent. They're great to make a tea. You can dry them to make a powder. You don't need to throw that away. But for the purpose of this sauce, I think they are okay. And then what you're left with, do you have the sauce cold or no? They will try it later. I just want to show that's quite strong. Here, I just want to show the texture when it's warm. And then when it's cold, how is it like this? Does everybody have a little spoon? Here, I'm going to just put on your spoon. Sorry. It's quite mild now. So this is like literally on the trees. When did you get it? This morning or yesterday?
This one.
So this is on the trees in north of Bali. In the sunrise, and then in a sauce in the afternoon. So again, for us, that's really like, that's a luxury product. This is the sauce we just made. From the Mira, the palm nectar, and the spirits. Okay, you don't need a lot. Sorry. Similar. Okay, so I think we are about ready to make some dessert, right? Do you want to explain the dough?
Yeah.
No, but when you want to do it, they're tired. You guys are tired of listening to me, right? Yeah. Debbie, would you like to explain the
And
dough?
then this the dough already mixed together, and then we keep it inside the freezer, and then the next day you can roll it and then cut whatever you want.
Thank you, sis.
I
You
can
wanna
show the
Okay. Ah, perfect. You have one plate, small plate. It's okay, I'll take that. No problem.
this already frozen one.
Perfect. Okay. So you can use this just like any cookie dough. You can show. This is how thin they have to roll it.
This already.
Sorry, one moment. I just want to show you so you can see the difference in texture. It's quite soft when it comes out. Chilled overnight, it's quite hard. And then it can be rolled to this. And this, you have already on the tray, Chef? So you see the thickness here. And then this is par baked, half baked. We cut it and then we finish baking it. At home, you can go any thickness you want, any size and shape that you want. Are we going to do the magic? So you can see the magic with the Wolf oven. They want the reveal, yeah? It's really magic because you can see I'm making it on my hand without a tray. It's very magical.
Ready?
So we're going to take all up. We're going to put it into the oven. Very magical, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 12 minutes. You see with Subway and Wolf, you don't even need to wait. It's just automatically ready. So
You don't even need it.
it's amazing. It's instantly cooled using new proprietary technology. So if you want to try it, it's fun. Ah, already?
Yeah.
Oh, well, forget it then. This is for us. So again, you can make this any size, any thickness. It's really just the sablé or butter cookie. You can make it with egg yolks. You can make it with hard-boiled eggs. You can make it really however you want. But It has a really nice feel to me, and a very specifically local flavor, which is what we're looking for always with everything that we do. Yes. So, what do you think, Chef Dewi? Should we get ready to make some dessert? Or do I make one first? Oh, is this for me? Okay. Careful if it's already out. Hold on, let's put this away first. Chiller or freezer? Oh yeah. So guys, what we're gonna do now is make one sample dessert here, and then, or I am, and then Dewi's gonna make for everyone in the corner. Is everything here?
Yeah.
Don't try this at home. Sorry. You can give me the whole tray actually. Can I go? Oh, thanks, boss. So if you want a San Honore tip, but you don't have a San Honore tip, you can just cut your bag at an angle. Very fancy. So this is a very simple mousse from palm sugar. It's simply palm sugar and cream that's boiled and chilled and whipped. Then I have my linjo sablé, which you didn't see the palm sugar cream, but we made it. This is a cocoa paste that's been melted and mixed with palm sugar. So we call it a Toblerone. I have a little bit of my vermouth sauce, which you saw how to make my vermouth gel. Have a little bit of palm caramel. And then I have the soursop sorbet, which you all know how to make already. But again, there's no right answer on how to plate this. You can do it as you want. Forgive the fingers, it's all very sanitary. Again, using Sub-Zero Wolf, all bacteria instantly killed in the air, right? It's amazing. The whole room is an infrared zone. Yeah, no bacteria have ever been transmitted in this room. One moment. So, and then to finish, we're gonna have the Balinese meringue, which you all know how to make. But again, you can do however you want. You can break it. You can cut it as you want. You can serve the dish like this. You can knock it over. You can do however you want. Sometimes what we do is, can I take the torch? Because you saw how well the, yeah, you ready for, oh, interesting, from the blast. Because you saw how we can toast the meringue. So especially if we do it ahead, we like to just wake it up a bit. It gives the dish a little more of a wood fire flavor. Perfect. Ready? This is same ingredients as the base, the palm sugar cream, but it's been piped and frozen. So you're asking as well how to get an ice cream without an ice cream machine. The palm sugar cream frozen because of the sugar content is quite nice. So this is one of our signature desserts in the restaurant. I should probably take this one away. I don't have the little fancy wheel, right? I should move my coffee, move my towels. Should probably be, let's say this is a bit warm, right? Right next to the wolf logo. We don't go anywhere without a Sub-Zero and Wolf logo nearby. But so now, well, Dewi, we're going to help to take care for Lakdali, right?
Yeah.
So this is our Sugar Refinery. So dessert that we feature in week 4 of the Academy, is that right? So we do this in the last, so that's going to be December this year. So if you're flying through Bali, the first week of December, we'll be cooking all garnishes and finishing desserts, and then on the last day, we will all learn how to make this dish. So for you, you're already ready in the advanced class. That's right. Should we start?
Yeah.
One moment, I get a. Sorry. Oh yeah, perfect. You see why we have very strong and intelligent women telling me what to do all the time. So just one thing, even though we did sell out the first week of the class, we try to always offer a scholarship. So there's going to be an announcement at the end of this live broadcast how you can get a scholarship to the September academy class. So we love to extend it. We love to give back to the community, and this is a great way for us to sort of involve everyone. So this will be the end of our live broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us from Sub-Zero World. Looking forward to share the desserts with you and many, many more academy adventures ahead. So thank you.
Thank you. Team Justin has maybe have the
Okay.